Okay, this is my second test video. As you can see, I've changed to a pipe. Um, I had intended to do a couple of these before I actually posted the first one, and I posted the first one, and I got so many comments. I even got emails from people already. So I'm going to try to do the second test video and take care of business from the emails from the first test video. So we'll do that. Anyway, I managed, I'm afraid, in my first test video to upset a dear friend, so I'm extending an apology to her. I didn't mean to upset or say something untoward, so please accept my apology. You know who you are. Anyway, let's get down to this second test video. As you can see, I'm in my living room library again. And one of the things that somebody had emailed me about is why I don't, I forget your name, Daniel or Dan, um, emailed me and asked why I don't get on the 2012 disclosure bandwagon, and they had read my comment on this Facebook page where I had declared my Facebook wall a Disclosure 2012 ET back engineering nanothermite free zone. Okay, so let's do the disclosure in 2012 in this little test video, because one of the things I want to use these videos for is to try and I get so many emails I can't respond to you all personally. So what I'm going to try and do with these little videos is pick out a few emails, the subjects that people ask me to comment about, and hopefully replying this way will address your personal concerns and then also give us a chance to kind of connect on what is on everybody's mind. Anyway, disclosure and 2012, the basic reason that I don't comment about these things is that with my background being in a discipline called patristics, that's the study of the early church fathers in the Eastern and Western churches up to about the year 1500 in the East and about the year 1200, 1300 in the West. And it sounds as if that would be a rather specialized degree. The reality is that you have to know a great deal of history, you have to know law, you have to know canon law, you have to know philosophy, you have to know a lot of languages, of course, German, Greek, French, Latin, Hebrew. Some guys that get into it really go all out. They do Coptic and all. I didn't do any of that. I'm too lazy. But it really is a degree that you have to know a lot of different subjects in order to know how these church fathers responded to certain things and certain questions. And with that kind of, and I should also add one thing. When my books first started being published, my publisher mistook what I had told him for saying that I was a trained physicist. I am not, and I want to make that very clear. I am not an academically trained physicist at all. I've just had, since childhood, an interest in the subject, and at one time I wanted to be a physicist, but I'm not an academically trained physicist at all. But in any case, I think that publisher and I have finally gotten that squared away. So it's one of those advertising hype things, I guess, you put on the back of back of books, which I don't write, you know. So anyway, with that kind of academic background, I tend to look at things when I encounter social expectations like that from the standpoint of religion. And in that respect, it's worth noting that all three of the great monotheistic religions have some form of messianic expectation. Within Christianity, of course, it's the second coming of Christ. Within Judaism, it's the coming of the Messiah. Orthodox Judaism, for example, is very distinct from what we normally think of when we think of the State of Israel or Zionism or what have you. Orthodox Judaism views messianic fulfillment as something still to to occur. Uh, Within Islam, you have the expectation of the Imam Mahdi. So within all three religions, there is a messianic expectation. Within Western culture, the expectation actually comes out, it begins to come out in the form of being able, so to speak, to read the tea leaves of biblical prophecy. And this begins with a fellow in the Middle Ages by the name of Joachim of Fiore, about 1300 or so. And he actually, if you want to look at him a certain way, he actually is kind of the fellow that begins to chart out these very intricate Bible maps of the ages, for want of a better expression. And they're really cool. I mean, you know, you can look at these old medieval manuscripts, and he's got all these charts and diagrams. It looks like an alchemist's book. But you really see the beginnings of the attempt of Western Christianity to try and pinpoint the date of the Second Coming, really with the Middle Ages, with this fellow Joachim of Fiore. And it gets a kick in the 19th century with the rise of, you know, the typical school of theology that most people don't realize is actually a school of theology that only arose in the 19th century, connected with the rapture and kind of the two-stage second coming of Christ, I guess is the best way of putting it. But anyway, you know, I'm not endorsing any of those views. I'm just giving a historical commentary. So that really kicked into high gear with certain things within Protestant Christianity in the West in the 19th century, this looking for imminent return of Christ and taking certain passages of the Bible and trying to read political contemporary events in the context of these theological schools' expectations of the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. And again, I do not adhere to any of that. But with that in mind, when I look at the movements that are touted within alternative literature, disclosure, 2012, and so on and so forth, the way I look at it, the way I conceive of it, is that these people, by and large, have abandoned traditional forms of religion, be it Judaism, Christianity, or whatever, but they have retained this cultural ambiance of messianic expectation, of some sort of deliverance that's going to come out of the sky and come down and save us all and fix our problems. It's become, within the disclosure movement, a kind of a political expectation, you know, that the government's finally going to come clean, we're finally going to know the truth, the scales will fall from our eyes, and voila, we're going to know all about extraterrestrial contact, we're going to know about what the government's been doing with respect to that, and so on and so forth. And again, I have to be very blunt and very honest, I remain very, very skeptical. That's the reason I don't comment on it, because if you have followed ufology since the 1950s, there has always been this overtone of, for want of a better expression, a kind of messianic extraterrestrial expectation to it. And it's for the same reason, then, that I don't, in answer to your, I know Daniel or whoever you are that sent me that email, that this is a very long way around Harvey's barn to answer your question, but I think it's a good question. With 2012, I think we're dealing with something very similar. Everybody remembers the big Y2K fright, how the computers were going to crash, we weren't going to be able to set our clocks, you know, everything was going to go to hell in a handbasket, and of course that didn't happen. And again, it was one of these apocalyptic expectations that I think we're seeing again. And what's amazing to me, what's unique to me, and again, it is very predictable in terms of these messianic type of movements, is that they start connecting issues from one movement to another. So you now see disclosure connected with 2012 and all of this hype, and that's essentially what I think it is. You know, I may be wrong, you know, E.T. may come floating out of the heavens along with Christ and the Imam Mahdi, but and he may do so on December 21st, 2012, but I remain let's just put it very honestly, I remain very skeptical of that. So that's kind of how I look at Disclosure 2012. Anyway, this is going to end our second little test video. Like I say, I'm planning to use these things to respond to emails, respond to comments, so that I can do so quickly. Let you see me, give you updates on things that I'm doing, updates on projects when books are out, and also to provide a kind of an ongoing running commentary once we get it set up for kind of a subscriber basis, kind of an actual conference talk, where I would be talking a considerable length of time, and if we get it set up sufficiently well, even do sort of combination video, PowerPoint type presentations and so on and so forth. So anyway, wish me luck, but this is my second test video, and I hope you all are liking them. And this is again New Year's Eve day, so I want to wish everybody Happy New Year. So we're going to sign off for now. If you've got more emails, go to my website, www.giza-star.com. Hit the contact button, post your email, that'll get to me, and I'll be able to read your emails. Just remember to use all capitals in the subject header, because that lets me know it's an email that I need to open. Okay, everybody have a Happy New Year, and God bless.